My name is Jennifer Hagan. I'm 31 years old, and I never imagined I would be sitting alone in what was supposed to be my honeymoon suite, staring at a half-empty bottle of minibar whiskey, wondering how my life unraveled in just 3 days. The hotel sheets smell of roses the staff scattered for a celebration that will never happen. Instead of wedding bliss, I'm left with silence, regret, and a kind of clarity that burns sharper than any heartbreak. People keep calling it a mistake, but the truth is, it wasn't. It was a choice. 3 nights ago, Adrian, my fiancé of 4 years, looked me in the eyes and gave me an ultimatum sign: away your protection or lose me at the altar. It began on Thursday afternoon. Adrian called me into the living room with the words, "No bride wants to hear. 3 days before her wedding, we need to talk." On the coffee table sat a neat stack of papers. My lawyer had sent the prenup weeks ago, simple, fair, and standard. Each of us keeps what we bring into the marriage. Inheritances stay separate. My logistics company remains mine. Nothing unusual, nothing cruel. I built that company from scratch. 5 years of sleepless nights, warehouses, trucks, and contracts. On paper, it's valued at just over $1.2 million. Not enough to retire on, but enough to prove that my sweat and blood had meant something. Protecting it wasn't greed, it was common sense. But Adrian didn't see it that way. He picked up the pages, waved them as though they were filth. This, he sneered, is insulting. I blinked. What's insulting about it? That it exists. He leaned back, folding his arms. You're supposed to trust me. We're about to promise each other forever. If you need protection from me, then why are we even getting married? His voice had that rehearsed sharpness, like he'd been practicing this argument in the mirror. I tried to stay calm. Adrian, this isn't about trust. It's about being practical. Your lawyer can review it, suggest changes. That's normal. He laughed. Actually laughed. A cruel, hollow sound. I'm not wasting money on some lawyer for this garbage. Something inside me tightened. You should have independent counsel. That's important. His smile vanished. He leaned forward, eyes hard. Here's what's going to happen, Jennifer. You're going to sign a different document right now. One that says this prenup is void. You'll sign it without your lawyer, or I'm not walking down that aisle on Sunday. For a moment, the air left the room. My ears rang. Ultimatum. 3 days before our wedding. I stared at him. You're giving me a choice between you and my future. Between you and everything I've built. I'm giving you a chance, he snapped. A chance to prove that you love me more than your precious company. My lips parted in disbelief. Precious company. That company was paying for the wedding. Every flower, every chair, every ridiculous $15,000 bill from the venue. His face flushed red when I reminded him. This is exactly what I mean. You always throw money in my face like it means something. It does mean something, Adrian. It means I've spent $62,000 on a wedding you're now threatening to walk away from unless I sign away my rights. Legal protection from me, from your future husband. That's disgusting, his voice cracked. If you need that, you shouldn't marry me. I sat there in silence. 1 minute, 2. I counted the rhythm of my own breath, clinging to it like a lifeline. 4 years together, a year engaged, deposits paid, relatives flying across oceans. His tuxedo hung in the closet. My gown rested in its bag upstairs. And yet in that moment I saw it, the truth. He wasn't asking me to prove my love. He was asking me to surrender myself piece by piece until there was nothing left but what he allowed. At last I whispered, I see. His shoulders relaxed, smugness flooding his expression. He thought I was bending. But in my mind a storm had already begun. That night, in the quiet of my office, I drafted a message. My hands shook, but my words were steady. Dear friends and family, I regret to inform you that the wedding between Adrian and myself, scheduled for Sunday, has been canceled. Adrian was right. The prenup I asked him to sign was insulting. It assumed our marriage might fail. And if I need that kind of protection from someone, then I shouldn't marry them. I've realized this too late, but not too late to prevent a mistake. Thank you for your understanding. Gifts will be returned. I pressed send. All 200 guests. 1 tap and it was done. My phone lit up like a bomb going off. Messages pouring in, calls from numbers I hadn't saved, friends demanding explanations. I turned it to silent. When I stepped back into the living room, Adrian was scrolling Instagram oblivious. Did you make your calls? He asked without looking up. I did, I said softly. And I took care of everything. He smiled smug and satisfied. See, I knew you'd come around. That's why I love you, Jennifer. You always make the right choice eventually. I packed a bag while he rambled about the rehearsal dinner. As I closed the door behind me, he called out, "Leave the prenup on the counter. I want to burn it. Symbolic, you know, a fresh start." I left it there. Why not? It was useless now, or so he thought. But as the elevator descended, I whispered to myself, "Not a fresh start, Adrian. An ending." By the time I woke up at Jerome's apartment Friday morning, my phone had nearly combusted. 73 missed calls, dozens of voicemails. My WhatsApp was flooded with messages so long they looked like essays. I hadn't slept much. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Adrian's face, that smug grin when he thought I had given in. He still didn't know. Not yet. Jerome, my best friend since college, handed me coffee. His eyebrows lifted as he glanced at my phone. "Jennifer, did you really cancel your wedding with a mass text?" Steam from the cup fogged my vision, but I nodded. Adrian demanded I void the prenup without counsel. 3 days before the wedding. What was I supposed to do? Talk to him, Jerome tried. He gave me an ultimatum. Sign or no wedding. I set the mug down hard. I chose no wedding. Before Jerome could respond, his phone buzzed. He frowned at the screen. "It's Adrian. He's called me 12 times since last night." "Don't answer," I whispered. By noon, the texts from Adrian started rolling in one after another. "What the hell did you do?" "This isn't funny, Jennifer. My parents are at the venue. Staff says you canceled everything. Answer me now. You can't do this to me. We have 200 guests coming." I stared at his words, the desperation laced with fury. I typed back once. "You said I had to choose between the prenup and the wedding. I chose." Then I blocked his number. But cutting off Adrian didn't mean peace. It only opened the gates to his family. Greta, his mother, somehow found my new number within hours. Her voicemail was a masterpiece of venom. "You pathetic little woman. How dare you humiliate my son like this? He gave you 4 years of his life. He loved you, and you destroyed him over money. You'll regret this, Jennifer. I'll make sure everyone knows what kind of monster you are. You'll pay for the embarrassment you've caused our family." My hands trembled as I replayed it. 4 years of Sunday dinners, birthday gifts, fake smiles, all washed away with bile the moment I refused to obey. Not long after, a new number appeared. Lucinda, Adrian's younger sister. Her text read, "Jennifer, what you've done is unforgivable. Adrian hasn't stopped crying. The vendors are demanding payment. The venue won't refund us. Our cousin flew in from Portugal for nothing. Either marry him tomorrow or pay for everything." My throat closed. Us, I thought bitterly. I paid for everything. The only thing Adrian's family had contributed was entitlement. And then came Hendrik, Adrian's usually distant father. A carefully worded email. "Jennifer, I am deeply disappointed. I believed you to be a woman of honor. Adrian tells me you chose your business over him. No company is worth losing a man who truly loves you. Reconsider before it's too late." The absurdity almost made me laugh. I wanted to disappear. The walls of Jerome's apartment felt too close, too loud, with every ping of another incoming message. At 2 a.m., I sat on the couch, scrolling through the chaos. Faces of people I knew. People I had welcomed into my life, now tearing me apart with accusations. That's when the anger hardened. I wasn't going to let Adrian's version of events become the truth. I opened my laptop, pulled up screenshots. My original text to the guests, the one where I said a prenup was insulting because if you need protection from your partner, you shouldn't marry them. And then another screenshot, a new message clarifying. "Adrian demanded I sign documents without legal counsel to void our prenup. When someone gives you an ultimatum, do this, or I won't marry you 3 days before a wedding, believe them. They're showing you who they really are." I chose to believe him. I hit send. Every person who had contacted me got the screenshots. If Adrian wanted to play the victim, then the evidence would speak louder than his crocodile tears. Still, when the messages slowed for the first time that night, the silence wasn't comforting. It was terrifying. Because silence meant they were regrouping. And I was right. The next morning, my phone buzzed with a message that made my stomach drop. Jerome glanced over my shoulder as I read it aloud. From Greta. "You can smear Adrian all you want, but tomorrow he'll prove his love to you in front of everyone. You can't run from this, Jennifer. We'll see you at the club." The hairs on my arms stood up. Jerome frowned. The club. What the hell does that mean? I didn't answer, because deep down I already knew. By Saturday morning, the whispers had become a roar. The first thing I saw when I opened my email wasn't from a client or a friend. It was another furious letter from Hendrik. "Jennifer, I raised my son to be a man of loyalty and devotion. He has been nothing but faithful to you, and you throw it away for contracts and lawyers. You are blinded by greed. Do you realize what people are saying about you?" Reconsider before you ruin your future beyond repair. I read it twice, then deleted it without replying. His words weren't about love. They were about control, the same control Adrian had tried to assert when he pushed those papers across the table. The storm only intensified. Greta's fury spilled onto social media. She posted a carefully curated photo of Adrian in his tuxedo, fitting captioned, "A mother's heart breaks when her son is humiliated. He deserves love, not betrayal. Pray for him." Within hours, her friends were commenting, "Poor Adrian. How could she do this to you, ungrateful woman?" Every tap of my phone screen was another knife. Meanwhile, the vendors were circling like sharks. The florist demanded payment in full. The orchestra insisted the cancellation came too late for refunds. The venue's lawyer sent me a notice, $15,000, non-refundable. I stared at the bills, stacking up the receipts, all in my name. Adrian hadn't paid a cent. He was the one spinning tales of financial ruin to his family while I was the one carrying the debt. That night, I sat at Jerome's kitchen table, bills spread out like a grotesque game of solitaire. He poured me another glass of wine, watching me crumble. "They're turning everyone against me," I whispered. "And I'm the one footing the damn wedding." Jerome leaned forward, "Then show them the truth." So I did. I scrolled through my phone until I found the screenshots. Adrian's text where he demanded I void the prenup. My reply, where I said no. I attached them to a group message and pressed send. To everyone who's asking, this is what really happened. Adrian gave me an ultimatum: void the prenup or no wedding. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. For a moment it was silent. Then replies trickled in. Some shocked, some apologetic, others furious I would air dirty laundry. But at least now the truth had a pulse. Still the weight didn't lift. Around midnight, as the city outside went quiet, I lay awake on Jerome's couch, the prenup draft still haunting me from memory. Its edges crisp, its words plain and reasonable, and yet it had become the match that lit an inferno. I replayed Adrian's voice in my head, the sneer when he said, "Your precious company." It wasn't just about money. It was about my independence, my identity. And I realized then Adrian never wanted a partner. He wanted proof of obedience. The next morning, another storm. Lucinda's texts arrived first. "Jennifer, you're destroying our family's reputation. You made Adrian cry in front of Dad. He's humiliated. Fix this. Apologize. Marry him tomorrow and save us from this shame." Minutes later, Greta's voice message came through, shrill, venomous. "You think your little business makes you untouchable? We will drag your name through the mud until you have nothing left. You will beg for forgiveness." My fingers hovered over the delete button. Instead, I saved every message, every threat, every insult. Proof. By noon, even Hendrik, the quiet one, the mediator, turned cruel. His email chilled me. I spoke to several of my colleagues. Word is already spreading about your erratic behavior. If you think this won't impact your business, you're naive. People don't trust women who can't manage their personal lives. I slammed my laptop shut, bile rising in my throat. "Jennifer," Jerome asked gently from the doorway. I looked up at him, my voice breaking. "They're trying to ruin me. Not just personally, professionally. They want to destroy everything I've worked for." Jerome's jaw tightened. "Then you have to be ready for the next move, because they're not stopping." And he was right. At exactly 4 o'clock, my phone buzzed again. A new message from Greta. "Tomorrow, 2 p.m. The club. He'll be there. You'll see what love looks like when it refuses to give up. Don't run, Jennifer. Everyone will be watching." I dropped the phone onto the table, my stomach twisting. Jerome's eyes narrowed. "The country club. She means the wedding day." I nodded numb. Adrian isn't finished. He's planning something. The room fell into silence, heavy with dread, because deep down I knew Greta was right. Adrian wasn't finished. Not by a long shot. Sunday morning. What should have been my wedding day dawned gray and silent. No flowers, no hairdresser bustling through the door, no champagne flutes clinking in celebration. Just me, Jerome, and a dull ache behind my ribs. Jerome tried to lighten the mood. Golf cures heartbreak, or at least distracts from it. I smiled, faintly grateful. Anything to avoid scrolling through the avalanche of hate messages on my phone. By noon, we were at the country club. I hadn't been there since childhood, its polished floors, its manicured lawns, the quiet air of old money. It felt obscene to be here today swinging clubs when I should have been in a white dress. But I needed it. I needed something ordinary. We were on the third hole when a shadow fell across our cart. A man in a blazer cleared his throat nervously. "Ms. Hagen, there's a situation at the clubhouse." I frowned. A situation. The manager shifted uncomfortably. Your fiancé is here. Well, your ex-fiancé. He's insisting. Jerome's head snapped toward me. You've got to be kidding. But when we returned to the clubhouse, my blood turned cold. There he was, Adrian, in a full tuxedo, black bow tie, perfectly straight, boutonniere, pinned to his chest, clutching a bouquet of white roses. His hair slicked back, eyes shining like he was stepping onto a stage. And in a way he was. Golfers paused mid-swing. Elderly couples whispered behind menus in the dining hall. Waitstaff froze trays hovering in midair. Adrian spread his arms wide when he saw me. Jennifer. There you are. We're getting married today. I stopped in my tracks. No, I said firmly, we are not. He strode forward, smile, trembling voice, pitched too loud for the hushed room. I forgive you, darling. I forgive the tantrum, the panic, the fear. We can still fix this. The photographer is waiting at the beach. A small ceremony, just us. We'll start fresh. Jerome muttered under his breath, Jesus Christ. I shook my head, my throat dry. Adrian, there is no ceremony. There is no wedding. It's over. His jaw clenched, but he forced the smile back. Fine, I'll sign the prenup. You win, okay? We'll print another copy. Just come with me. I swallowed hard. It's not about winning. It's about trust. Why would I marry someone who threatened to leave me at the altar over a document 3 days before the wedding? That broke him. His smile cracked into fury. You're ruining my life. His voice rang through the club, sharp and desperate. Everyone thinks I'm a fool, a gold digger, a joke. You did this to me. No, Adrian. My voice trembled, but I raised it so everyone could hear. You did this when you tried to coerce me into signing away my protection. When you turned love into leverage. He stumbled back a step, bouquet slipping from his grip petals, scattering across the floor like snow. Please, he whispered. Then all the anger gone, replaced by broken sobs. Please, Jennifer, don't leave me like this. The sight of him tuxedo wrinkled, roses crushed under his shoes, tears streaking his face. It should have pierced me. It should have made me run to him. But instead all I felt was the weight lifting. Jerome stepped closer, ready to intervene, but the manager already approached with 2 security guards. Sir, you need to leave, the manager said gently. Adrian looked around wildly at the watching crowd. No, she's my bride. She loves me. Tell them, Jennifer. Tell them. I met his gaze one last time. No, Adrian, I don't. The guards guided him toward the door. His cries echoed through the lobby, growing fainter, until they were nothing but a ghost of what might have been. When the doors shut, the silence was deafening. Then the whispers began again, but this time not in Greta's voice or Hendrik's stern tone this time. It was strangers stunned by the spectacle. A man in a polo muttered, Did you hear that? He tried to force her to sign away her rights before the wedding. Another woman whispered, Good for her, took courage to walk away. The gossip would spread for decades through that club's halls. Adrian would forever be the man who showed up in a tuxedo to beg for a wedding that no longer existed. And I was the woman who said no. For the first time in days, I could breathe. Monday morning. The sun barely crept past the blinds of my office when I arrived, clutching a coffee that tasted more like ash than relief. I wanted nothing more than to sink into routine contracts, invoices, schedules. Work had always been my sanctuary. But the sanctuary was under attack. Dorothy, my business partner, was already there, her lips pressed thin. She didn't waste time. Jennifer, we've got a problem. My heart lurched. What kind of problem? She turned her screen toward me. My inbox flooded with cancellations, clients reconsidering, others postponing. And the reason, Adrian's father. Hendrik's been calling them directly, Dorothy said. Her tone carried both fury and disbelief. Telling everyone you're unstable, that you had a breakdown and abandoned his son at the altar. He's painting you as dangerous. The words hit harder than any voicemail Greta had left. This wasn't just gossip anymore. This was sabotage. I sank into my chair, rubbing my temples. He's trying to ruin me. If I lose these clients... You won't, Dorothy interrupted sharply. But we need to respond. Fast. For the first time since this nightmare began, I didn't cry. I didn't panic. Something inside me hardened. I pulled out my phone, opened LinkedIn, and began typing. To those concerned about my supposed mental breakdown this weekend, I'm fine. I simply chose not to marry someone who demanded I sign legal documents without counsel as a proof of love. In business and in life, anyone who says, sign this now without your lawyer, is someone you should run from. The $62,000 lost on wedding deposits is nothing compared to the cost of marrying the wrong person. Sometimes the best deals are the ones you walk away from. I hovered over the post button for a moment, my pulse hammering. Then I pressed it. Within an hour, the post had hundreds of likes, dozens of comments, business owners sharing their own horror stories, colleagues calling me brave, rational, even an inspiration. For the first time, I wasn't just the villain in Adrian's story. I was the woman who walked away from coercion. But Adrian's family wasn't done. At noon, Dorothy's phone rang. She answered on speaker, her face impassive. Hendrik's booming voice filled the room. "Your partner is destroying my daughter's reputation. Do you understand the damage she's caused? Do you know what people are saying?" Dorothy leaned back in her chair, her eyes flicking toward me. Then she smiled, cool, sharp. "Sir, with all due respect, your son destroyed his own reputation when he demanded Jennifer sign away her rights without legal representation. That's called coercion." Jennifer was smart to walk away. Hendrik spluttered. "She humiliated him." Dorothy didn't flinch. "No, he humiliated himself. Now, if you'll excuse me, we have a business to run." She ended the call. The silence that followed was almost sweet. For the first time in days, I laughed. But relief was fleeting. That afternoon, I agreed to meet Karina, one of Adrian's friends, at a quiet cafe. She had always struck me as the reasonable one, the peacekeeper. She sat across from me, her expression pained. "Jennifer, he's not well. Adrian's suicidal. He hasn't eaten in 3 days." I folded my arms. "Karina, he posted Instagram stories from a steakhouse last night." Her cheeks flushed. He was trying to seem okay. "What do you want from me?" I asked, weary. "Take him back," she whispered. "Or at least, pay for the wedding costs. His family spent a fortune." That did it. My patience snapped. "His family spent nothing," I said coldly. "I paid for everything. The dress, the venue, the catering, every cent. I have the receipts. The only thing they bought was a story, and they're still trying to sell it." Karina blinked. "He told us his parents paid half. Then he lied." Her expression shifted, hardening. "So you're just going to let him suffer?" "I'm going to let him experience the consequences of his choices." "You're heartless." I leaned forward, my voice low. "No, I'm practical. The same practicality he found so offensive in a prenup." Karina left in a huff, but I didn't chase her. Later that night, Adrian took to Facebook. "When someone shows you who they really are, believe them." I thought Jennifer loved me. Instead, she loved her money more. I'm heartbroken, but grateful I learned the truth before giving her my last name. And yes, I'm keeping the ring. It's the least she owes me for 4 years of my life. The $22,000 ring. The one I was still paying off in monthly installments. I stared at the post fury prickling through my skin. Then I picked up my phone and called my lawyer. "She's keeping the ring, claims I owe it to her. Please advise." His voice was steady, calm, almost amused. "In our state, an engagement ring is a conditional gift contingent upon marriage. No marriage, no gift. Legally, it's yours. Want me to handle it?" "Absolutely." As I hung up, I whispered to myself, "You wanted proof of love, Adrian. Well, here's proof of something else you don't get to win." 2 weeks later, the storm had calmed, at least on the surface. The calls had slowed. The threats from Greta came less frequently. Even Lucinda's long, guilt-laden texts dwindled into silence. But Adrian's family wasn't finished. They had one last card to play the ring. My lawyer sent a formal demand. Legally, the engagement ring was a conditional gift. No marriage, no ring. Adrian refused, of course. Instead, Greta called me personally. "You want the ring back after everything you've put my son through? He earned that ring. He gave you 4 years of his life." I gripped the phone tightly. Love doesn't require ultimatums, Greta. And it certainly doesn't require signing away legal protection. If you want to sue me over a piece of jewelry, be my guest. But you'll lose. She hung up on me. 2 days later, Lucinda appeared at my office with a small box. She dropped it on my desk with a glare sharp enough to cut glass. Inside lay the ring, glittering perfect, mocking me. Taped to the box was a note scrawled in Greta's handwriting. "I hope this ring brings you the happiness you denied us. May every woman who sees it know it was worn by someone who actually loved you, not your money." I stared at it for a long time, then closed the lid. The next morning, I sold it back to the jeweler. $18,000. A $4,000 loss. But compared to the $62,000 I'd lost on deposits, compared to the hundreds of thousands a divorce would have cost me, it felt like a bargain. And more than that, it felt like freedom. But freedom, I realized, wasn't the end of the story. A week after my LinkedIn post went viral, I got a message from someone I hadn't heard from in years. "Winona, my college ex. Sorry about your wedding drama. For what it's worth, you made the right call. Anyone who sees a prenup as an insult isn't planning on forever. They're planning to take advantage. Coffee sometime. I read the message twice, a smile tugging at the corner of my lips. Winona, now a corporate lawyer. Smart, grounded, and as I remembered, fiercely opinionated. We met for coffee on Thursday. She listened. She laughed. She shook her head at the madness of it all. And when she spoke about prenups, her voice carried the clarity I had been missing for weeks. Protecting yourself isn't mistrust, Jennifer. It's wisdom. For the first time since this nightmare began, I felt seen. Meanwhile, Adrian's story spiraled downward. Mutual friends told me he was already dating again, a man who owned a small restaurant. Within 2 weeks, Adrian had demanded access to his business bank accounts. Because trust is everything in a relationship, he reportedly said. The man dumped him on the spot. And just like that, the cycle repeated. As for Greta and Hendrik, they were still threatening to sue me for the cost of relatives' flights and hotels. $3,000. My lawyer actually laughed when I mentioned it. Let them try, he said. They don't have a case, and even if they file, they'll embarrass themselves long before they embarrass you. For the first time, I believed him. So here I sit, weeks later, no longer a bride, no longer a fiancé. Just Jennifer Hagan, 31 business owner, survivor. I lost a wedding. I lost money. I lost people I once thought of as family. But I gained something else, the courage to walk away from coercion, the clarity to see manipulation for what it is, the strength to protect myself even when the world called me heartless. And if you're listening, if you're engaged in love or planning a future with someone, hear me when I say this. If someone gives you an ultimatum 3 days before your wedding run, if someone tells you that protection is an insult, run faster. Because love isn't about control. Love doesn't demand you burn your own future to prove your devotion. Love stands